Texas men's basketball drops another conference game. Texas softball loses Miranda Ellish, and the 55th Super Bowl kicks off this Sunday in Tampa. All of this and more coming up on College Crossfire.
Yeah, let's do this.
And their men's basketball team need to stop social distancing themselves from fans.
But now it has been overdone to death. Planes don't stop believing.
Bye-bye, Bucks. Bye-bye, Raptors.
All right, let's get to it. Welcome in to College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jaxie Pidgeon, and it looks like tonight's show is going to be a good one. Let's start out by introducing tonight's panel. On first base, we have Jake Herman, the 2020 Tournament of Champions champion. Jake, how are you doing?
Doing very well. That's right, Jaxie. Much like Patrick Mahomes, I'm ready to defend my championship tonight and hopefully even get a repeat.
Oh, even throwing in the Super Bowl there. And then on second base, we have Samantha Perl, her first ever debut on College Crossfire. How are you, Samantha?
I'm great. I hope to possibly win this my first time, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, we're happy to have you on. And on third base, we have Sam Berman returning for the first time this semester. How are you, Sam?
I'm great, Jaxie. It's good to be back. I'm hoping to give the champ a run for his money and let the Rook know what this show's about.
Amazing. I'm happy to have all of you on. And before we get started, we're going to award some of the panelists some extra points. So first up, Sam, you're going to start off with an extra point because of your stellar background, loving the jerseys, New York vibes. And second, Jake, you are getting a point because of your homemade hype video that was shared on social media today. So cheers to that, 2 points given out. And let's get right into it. Just yesterday, the Texas men's basketball team took on the number 2 Baylor Bears in Austin. The Bears came out strong with an 8-0 lead before Jericho Sims and Courtney Ramey got the ball rolling for the Horns. At the half, Baylor led 41-34. Texas looked to be picking up the pace in the second half with their 12-4 start, getting their first lead of the game. However, Baylor responded with a 16-4 run, bringing the score to 61-51 Baylor. With Texas averaging 21% from the free throw line for the night and committing 17 turnovers, they unsurprisingly dropped this game 83-69 to the undefeated Bears. The Longhorns are now 11-4 overall, heading into their next game against Oklahoma State in Stillwater this Saturday. With some competitive matchups still headed their way, how concerned are you about this Texas team after losing their last 3 of 4 games? Jake, start us off.
Yeah, Jaxie, to me, there really isn't reason for significant concern about this men's basketball team. Now, it definitely hurts that they have not had a really big win in almost a month. It was back on January 9th when this team went into Morgantown, knocked off West Virginia, and felt as if they were on top of the world. But here's what I'll say. They don't really have a bad loss since then either. They were shorthanded in Oklahoma. They lost to a very good Texas Tech team right at the buzzer, and they lost to Baylor in a game that, just like you said, was very competitive. And really, Baylor's a team that's just on another level. They're a phenomenal basketball team. They are my pick to win the national championship. I don't think it's a bad loss for Texas at all. With some winnable games coming up, I think as long as Texas can get back on track at the defensive end, they're going to be in good shape.
All right, Jake thinks they're in good shape and, not concerned at all. Samantha, how do you think?
Personally, I have a huge concern. They need to get back into practice, regroup, and have that hype that they had previously. I think they need to get their starters back in, and they need to have good, effective practices if they want to be if they want to win a potential championship. They haven't had Shaka, Rock Cunningham, Courtney Ramey, and Jericho Sims, which definitely affected the game, and that's one of the reasons why they lost OU. And apparently on Sunday, it was the first time that the entire team had practiced together in 19 days. Baylor played a spectacular game, and at times Texas looked and they had a chance to win. That gave me hope, but they have to learn how to shoot the free throws. They need to do all this, and hopefully they will be successful against Oklahoma State on Saturday.
Right. That's an interesting point there on the free throws. Like you said, I think it was 3 for 14 from the free throw line. That's a lot of easy points to give up there. So good points there. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Sam here, Jaxie. Texas seemed to have lost their head a couple of times during the OU game, during the Baylor game, even though they've been down for a while. It's one of those things where Shaka seems to have them a little unorganized. Now, I'll give them some credit. He just had COVID, and they had 3 of their key starters out with COVID, no practices for 19 days. But 17 turnovers, Baylor's going to make you pay for that. And all those missed free throws against OU and Baylor, that's something to be aware of. That's something definitely to look down the road for, because there would be a W against OU if they made those free throws.
Sure. And, just like Samantha was saying too, those easy points that they're just giving away to teams. To Jake's point, Baylor is the top team, one of the top teams at least this season. And they did kind of come out and make Texas look really bad at the end. But it was those, free throws and turnovers. It was like 17 that really caused that. But it wasn't just in Baylor's game. It's been, like you mentioned, in OU, Sam. So Samantha and Sam, you're both going to get 3, and Jake 2. Next up, just over 3 weeks ago, Texas women's basketball headed to Morgantown to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. The Longhorns dropped their previous road matchup 92-58, which handed them their first conference loss of the season. Luckily for the Horns, they have a chance to redeem themselves this Saturday as they take on West Virginia for the second time. However, this time, the game is in Austin. Texas just took down Oklahoma a few minutes ago, 69-58. Despite the fact that the Longhorns dropped their previous match against the Mountaineers by 34 points, they will have the home field advantage this Saturday in Austin. So, what are the keys to victory against number 21 West Virginia? Samantha, start us off.
Before I start, I wanted to mention that it's National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and I wanted to thank all the women who are in sports. On that note, they did really well during the Texas Tech game, 72-53. They need to use the same starting lineup with Kyra Lambert, Joanne Allen-Taylor, Celeste Taylor, Charisma Ortiz, and Charlie Collier. Charlie Collier averages about 23 points per game, and which that hasn't happened in a very long time. Also, currently in the game today, Collier is scoring more than half of the points scored by the entire team. When I last looked, she scored 30. She's a key asset in winning. And Celeste Taylor was the leading scorer, making 14 points versus the game against Texas Tech. And Audrey Warren also banked 14 points. So I think if you have all those elements, then there could be a successful victory.
Sure. All key players, and especially Collier, is definitely strutting her stuff this season. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, my big thing for this women's team, Jaxie, is offensive efficiency. Even in the Tech game where they crushed them, they had under 40% of their field goals made from the field. And, in the losses to Oklahoma State, it was even worse than that. It was in the 30s. Now, Charlie Collier is clearly a big piece, as is Celeste Taylor. And if they can get the ball to them and spread the ball out a little bit and just work on making the easy layups, then I think they'll be good to go. But if they can't, if they're struggling in efficiency, West Virginia will punish them like they did last time.
Sure. It was quite the punishment. That's like over 30 points. It's a big deal there. So definitely need some efficiency. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, quite the punishment last time. 92-58 is putting it lightly. So what the Longhorns have to do to avoid a repeat of that is protect the defensive glass a lot better than they did during that trip to Morgantown. Last meeting, Texas gave up 15 offensive rebounds against West Virginia. That led to 25 second chance points and compounded other mistakes that the Longhorns made throughout the night, including not taking good care of the basketball. The good news is I think that Texas has gotten a lot better since that game. I think Vic Schaefer, had them working hard in practice, and I think they've learned a lot since that loss. And I think it'll be a much closer game this time around.
Sure. Those are all fair points too. And they are in good hands with Vic Schaefer, I think. And they have been learning from their mistakes, it seemed, over the last couple games, especially, that was a big win just a few minutes ago over Oklahoma. So I think they've, improved where they need to. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I think that they will at least have a better time this time around with West Virginia. So, Jake, you're going to get 3, Sam 2, and Samantha 1. Next up, right in the middle of last month, Texas softball star pitcher Miranda Elish announced she would be opting out of the 2021 season. It was reported that concerns about COVID-19 were the reason behind her choice. Prior to COVID-19 canceling the 2020 season, Elish led Texas to a 24-3 start in a top 3 ranking. In that shortened 2020 season, Elish led the Big 12 while posting a 1.25 ERA, 11 complete games, 4 shutouts, and 96 strikeouts over 84 innings. Over 23 contests, she had 7 doubles, 4 home runs, and 19 RBIs. Among her most memorable highlights in 2020 was pitching her second career perfect game by striking out all 21 batters she faced in a 7-0 win over New Mexico. Needless to say, the Longhorns have some big shoes to fill. So, who will step up to fill Elish's leadership role on the team? Sam?
Yeah, Jaxie, on this one, I'm going to have to say Janae Jefferson. You know, she is a preseason All-American named last week along with Lauren Burke, and she was third in the NCAA in both on-base percentage and batting average, which is key. She led the Big 12 for both, and I think that bat, will help make up for the loss of Elish. And now on the pitching side, they look a much stronger team. They're still got some good veterans coming back, but I think Jefferson's presence at the plate will help make up for the loss of Elish.
Sure, because, like was mentioned, Elish is strong on both sides of the ball, not just on the mound, but at the plate too. So Janae Jefferson could definitely help out there. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, somebody that I'm going to be looking to fill Miranda Elish's role for the Texas softball team is definitely the catcher, Mary Iacopo. I mean, going into her junior season, she's going to have a lot more experience and be able to help some of the other young and talented arms on this pitching staff fill that void in the circle that is going to be left by Elish by being able to work with those pitchers every day in practice and obviously building that relationship with them from behind the plate. Not to mention, she was starting to hit her stride at the plate just before the 2020 season was canceled. Iacopo was leading the team in both batting average and slugging percentage. I think she could enjoy a real breakout campaign in 2021.
Sure. Mary Iacopo is definitely great. And like you said, that's a great point that, the pitcher-catcher relationship's important too. Samantha, what do you think?
Well, I have to agree with Sam here. I also think that Janae Jefferson will be able to step up. She's now in the top 50 preseason watch list for the USA Softball National Collegiate Player of the Year, and she's also been All-American several times, and she led her way in the NCAA Tuscaloosa Super Regional, and she has a career high as of 2019. But since part of the season was postponed, this will definitely affect the players. And I guess we'll see who will fit that leadership role, but in my opinion, it'll be Jefferson.
All right, 2 for Jefferson, but I'm going to have to go with Jake on this one. I think that Mary Iacopo, especially behind the plate, like I said, that pitcher-catcher relationship is super important. She's working with them every day, but also the fact that she also came from Oregon, it's also important to note, and I think that she's already taken a leadership position on this team, and as a junior, I know both of them are juniors, but just being able to fill that void for Elish is going to be hard, but I think Iacopo has the means to do it. So Jake 3 and Sam and Samantha both 1. And when we come back, the panel discusses everything Super Bowl 55. You won't want to miss it.
Men's basketball looks for a key win against Iowa State. Women's basketball is tested against the number 2 team in the nation.
The Longhorns had a dominant pitching performance in the latter half of the game, led by Pete Hansen.
I get to say some of the most exciting words in football. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock and picking for...
Texas started the third with the lead and continued to gain momentum on defense.
Hello and welcome into the first social distancing college press box ever.
You're watching a live sports presentation of Texas Student Television.
It's a lovely evening in Austin. Texas Longhorns, Texas A&M Aggies. This is a rivalry game, high intensity, high scoring. Puck drop, we're off. Both of these teams are very fast. Big collision on the wall there. Now a little advantage for Texas. Shot in the middle.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. Leading the show, we have Jake with 9 points. In second, we have Sam with 7 points. And in third, we have Samantha with 5 points. All right, let's jump right back in. This Sunday, the 55th edition of the Super Bowl will kick off in Tampa, Florida, pitting the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This marks the first time ever that the two have met in the Super Bowl. Along with every other sport, NFL football has also been unique and uncertain. But this big game must go on. A key difference in this year's Super Bowl is the limited attendance, allowing just 25,000 fans and 30,000 cutouts. For a comparison, Raymond James Stadium usually holds 65,000 and can expand to 75,000. With this being just the second Super Bowl appearance for the Bucs and the fourth for the Chiefs, who do you think will win the Super Bowl and who will be named MVP? Jake, start us off.
Yeah, this game's going to be very fun, very exciting. Obviously, a couple of teams with high-powered offenses and legendary quarterbacks, or in the case of Mahomes, soon to be legendary, leading the way. I think the Chiefs are going to come out on top in this game. I think they have the veteran defense that's going to be able to make just enough plays to hold off Tom Brady and the Bucs. But I think it's a high-scoring game, and Patrick Mahomes is going to take home the MVP award because, hey, he spreads the love around to just too many different playmakers that they're all going to cancel each other out, and Mahomes is going to end up taking this award. Not to mention there might be a few voters out there that feel some kind of guilt giving Aaron Rodgers potentially the MVP over Mahomes, when really it's going to be Mahomes that gets the last laugh in my prediction.
All right, Jake thinks Chiefs and Mahomes. Samantha, what do you think?
I also have to agree. I think that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes could win. The Chiefs are most likely to score more points, and Mahomes is a 7-0 as a starter, and the Chiefs are averaging about 36 points per game. Mahomes has a better stats than Brady, but Brady does do a nice job with throwing deep passes. But I think that the Chiefs will probably have more of a powerhouse team, and they're the most complete team in football. And MVP-wise, as I already said, Patrick Mahomes, but he could potentially become the third player to win back-to-back Super Bowl MVP awards.
Yeah, just a young guy filling the dream there. Sam, what do you think?
Jaxie, I'm going to clean the sweep. I think the Chiefs as well. Now, I'll say this. Brady is Brady, and you can't ever count him out. But this Mahomes offense is really yet to be stopped. And it's been over multiple seasons now, especially with a guy like Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. To me, he is an outside candidate for MVP. Brady or Mahomes is probably the favorite, depending on who wins the Super Bowl. But his speed, his ability to get open is just so key for that Chiefs team, and he'll really burn you if he gets the chance. So I keep my eye out for him.
All right, Sam took a different route, but I'm going to have to give Samantha the points on this one. I think to your point that you said this Chiefs team has it, spread out all around the field. They're not just solid on one side of the ball. They got both sides packed. And Mahomes, I think he's got it in the bag if they win. So Samantha, you're going to get the points on that one. Next up, in Sunday's big game, we will be seeing an incredible matchup, especially at the quarterback position, like we just discussed, which pits the 2020 Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes and a 6-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady. At the ripe age of 25, Mahomes will be looking to go back-to-back in his second ever Super Bowl appearance. On the other side, a 43-year-old Brady will be looking for a 7th Super Bowl win in his 10th Super Bowl appearance. This win for Brady would set a new NFL record, as well as give him more championships than any franchise. This win for Mahomes would be record-breaking as well, as he would become the youngest quarterback to win multiple Super Bowls. In this battle of the best, who will a Super Bowl 55 win mean more to, Brady or Mahomes? Samantha, start us off.
Well, if the Bucs win the Super Bowl, then I think that it'll mean more to Brady than Mahomes. This could be Brady's last Super Bowl since he's 43 years old, and he is considered one of the greatest of all time. Brady is also one of the greatest passers as well, and every year he shows that he's an exceptional quarterback. But Brady does, in fact, have more MVPs than Mahomes, but he also has more Super Bowl wins. So this would be his 7th. So I think, if the Bucs win the Super Bowl, then it would mean more to Brady.
All right, Samantha has Brady. Sam, what do you have?
Jaxie, I got to say Patty Mahomes here. Look, this kid is an astronomical talent. I think everybody knows that. That's not up for debate. But if you really want to put him into the conversation for the greatest of all time, this is a big way to do it. You have to beat the GOAT in the Super Bowl. That is a huge statement. And now, Brady baby north of 40, he may be getting up there in years, but still, he's clearly lost some of his spark a little bit, but it's still Tom Brady. If Patty Mahomes pulls off this win and does so in spectacular fashion, this goes a long way to cementing his legacy going forward and showing the world that he actually is in the conversation for the greatest of all time.
All right, Sam wants a new GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. Great points brought up by both people because conventional wisdom would say, yeah, it's Tom Brady because how many times is he going to get back there? to me, he's the greatest of all time, no matter what. And I'm not even sure that this is his last time that he can get there. I think he's going to be an ageless wonder for a little bit longer. So I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes, and here's why. Just like Sam said, you have a guy here that has the potential to be top 5, maybe top 1 or 2 of all time. How many chances is he going to get to go toe-to-toe with the greatest of all time in Tom Brady? Hasn't had many so far. And the last time they faced off in the playoffs, it was Tom Brady that went into Arrowhead Stadium and ripped Mahomes' young heart out. So it would mean so much in Mahomes' career arc to be able to avenge that loss, go into Tampa Bay and beat Tom Brady and start a Chiefs dynasty. So my answer is Mahomes.
Yeah, and, Brady trying to get a win with a new franchise. But like you and Sam mentioned, Jake, it's just how this young fella at age 25 is going to be competing against the best of the best. But I'm going to have to go with Sam on this one. I think we're in the conversation. Jake, you mentioned it too, but like old GOAT versus young GOAT. And as a younger fella taking down the guy that's been doing it for a long time, that's at the top. I mean, you can't get any better than that if you get there. So Sam, you're going to get the points on this one. Next up, still in the Super Bowl though, aside from the most notable players like Brady and Mahomes, the Chiefs and the Buccaneers have plenty of other talented players on their rosters. While the quarterback position is extremely important, they can't do it alone. The Chiefs have notable players like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Frank Clark, and Chris Jones. For the Bucs, players like Mike Evans, Scott Miller, Leonard Fournette, Ndamukong Suh, and Levante David. With digging a bit deeper into these rosters, you can find other players that were key to securing a spot in this big game. That being said, who is a hidden X factor for the Chiefs or the Buccaneers? Sam, start us off.
Jaxie, here I'm actually going to stray a little bit. I'm not going to name a player, but I'm going to name a defensive coordinator. Steve Spagnuolo has gotten to Brady in the past, in 2007 particularly with my New York Giants, and he knows how to win against Tom Brady, especially because Brady is now more immobile than ever. So he'll know that he's got to send people at the quarterback and really take it to Brady in order to throw him off his game a little bit. And as such, guys like Daniel Sorensen, Tyrann Mathieu, Alex Okafor are really going to be a key part of that defense and a key part of that Super Bowl team. But I think it's Steve Spagnuolo calling the plays on the sideline who's this X factor.
I like your take on that, changing the game and the defensive coordinator role. Chiefs, all right, Jake, what do you think?
Sam, I guess as a Giants fan, you're never going to let Tom Brady live that down with that Spags pick. I'm actually more focused on the defensive coordinator on the other side, and that's Todd Bowles. And what allows him to be such a great defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers is the play of their front seven, more specifically to name another New York Giant great, Jason Pierre-Paul. He's the last man standing from that great New York Giants defensive line. That was the only thing standing in the way of Tom Brady's perfect season a couple of times. Well, that one perfect season, 2 Super Bowls, Jason Pierre-Paul has been on the New York Giants where they beat Tom Brady. Here's the reason why I single out Jason Pierre-Paul and the Buccaneers front seven. If Patrick Mahomes has time to throw, the Chiefs win this game in a landslide. The Buccaneers secondary cannot hold up against Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce for more than a few seconds on each play. But if Mahomes is under pressure and doesn't have time to be able to let the plays develop, Tampa Bay has a real shot. So they're going to need great play from their defensive line and guys like Jason Pierre-Paul.
Such interesting ways to take this question. Wow. On both sides. All right. Samantha, what do you think?
Personally, I misread the question, but I chose Tyreek Hill because, he's doing, an amazing job. And he currently leads in the NFL for receiving touchdowns and receiving yards. And he's considered one of the league's best all-around passing, catching threats. And he's just so fast and, he's just super fast. So, that's who I thought, but I misread the question.
You did not misread the question. I was thinking people were going to say players, but I mean, Tyreek Hill is a great addition to that team. I'm going to have to give Sam the points on this one. I really think Steve Spagnuolo, he's clearly been doing well this season, but even like you said, the history behind that as well. So Sam, you are going to get the points on that one. And when we come back, Rapid Fire is coming up on College Crossfire. You won't want to miss it.
1-0 Sports Show.
The premier sports talk show on the 40 acres. We're back.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for rapid fire. In this round, points are worth double, and that means it's anybody's game. Before we jump back in, let's take a look at the scoreboard. In first place, we have Jake and Sam tied with 9 points, and right behind them, we have Samantha with 6 points. Let's get to it. Just yesterday, EA Sports announced they would be making a return with a new and improved college football video game. The last time they created a football video game was during the 2013 season, with Denard Robinson gracing the cover. Just like COVID-19, there's a lot of uncertainty revolving this video game. What will it look like? When will it be available to the world? How will it be structured? Who even cares right now, right? College football is returning at some point to gaming consoles. Cheers to all the gamers out there. So, if you were creating the cover of the new and improved football video game, who would you choose as the cover athlete? Anybody can jump in.
Well, look, it's a tough exercise to know who's going to be worthy of a cover spot because we don't know when this game is coming out. But you know who will be there when this game comes out? Right in his normal spot, our king, Bevo. That's my pick.
The go-to answer, GOAT, Bevo.
Now, Jaxie, I'm all in favor of doing a couple of throwback covers, and I think the most important throwback cover to make up for the time lost has got to be Joey Burrow celebrating the Natty with a cigar. That's my pick 100%. Let's do a throwback cover, Joe Burrow, all day.
TBT Joe Burrow edition. I like it. Samantha, what do you think?
You know, I was kind of anticipating this question since it made big news, but I think that Bijan Robinson would be a good pick. You know, he's a great player. He won the MVP, and he's only a freshman. He's my age, so I think that he could really make it up to the top within the next 3 years that he has left.
Yeah, Sam, I really enjoyed your creativity there. Jake, I feel like yours lacked a little bit, but Samantha, Bijan is a great answer. I think that, he still has some time, and hopefully this game won't take that long. I mean, he's still got a few years here. So, Samantha, you're going to get the points on that one. Next up, aside from the game itself, the Super Bowl halftime performance is also a key part of the Super Bowl experience. This year, The Weeknd will take the stage. At 30 years old, he has won 3 Grammy Awards, 5 American Music Awards, and 9 Billboard Music Awards. Some of his most notable songs at the top of the chart are Earned It and Can't Feel My Face. Those are just a few. Just a year ago, we watched J-Lo and Shakira strut their stuff at Super Bowl 54. Lots of complaints came out of that one. But if you were in charge, who would you pick as the ideal halftime show performer for next year's Super Bowl? Anybody can jump in.
I can go.
You go, girl.
Well, since it is I'll just call it National Women's Day. Dua Lipa, she is amazing, and she's become popular, and all of her songs are so catchy. So, I think that she would be a great headliner. And, I don't know if you guys have seen any of her, pictures in concerts and stuff like that. But, she dresses incredibly, and there's special effects. So I think she'd be a great pick.
All right, Dua Lipa. Fun.
Is it too much to ask everyone to maybe bring an extra box of tissues to the halftime show, sit down with a nice, cold glass of wine, and bring out Billy Joel? Is that too much to ask? Has he ever done the Super Bowl halftime show before? I feel like it's a vibe change up, but it can be very necessary, I think, to get a younger audience appreciating the legendary Billy Joel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's happened. Has it?
If it did, I'm very embarrassed right now.
He's been at the Grammys. We know that.
Look, I will say this. If Billy Joel's doing the halftime show at the Super Bowl will be performed at Madison Square Garden because he lives there practically. But my pick for the Super Bowl halftime show next year has got to be my girl Riri. Rihanna is overdue for some new music. She owns the stage when she's on it. Total Easy halftime show pick, would kill it, of course. That's it. Game changer for me.
I have to go with Riri. You can stand under my umbrella. I love it. Sam, you're going to get the points on that one. And we have our final rapid fire question of the night. And here we go. Just last month, a new 2-part documentary on Tiger Woods was released, giving viewers a deeper look into his personal career and his golf career. In the earlier part of COVID-19 in April 2020, ESPN released The Last Dance miniseries on Michael Jordan. With today being National Girls and Women in Sports Day, as Samantha said, I would like to shed some light on the women who have helped pave the way for women in sports. Some have already been made, like Billie Jean King's Battle of the Sexes and the Williams, Venus, and Serena. So, if you could pick, which female athlete would you like to see a documentary made on next?
Ooh, Jaxie, I'll start with this one. I got to go Mia Hamm. I think she was huge for the game of women's soccer in the early 2000s. I mean, I remember growing up watching, and she was probably a bigger star than just about any player on the men's team. And now the women's team is bigger than the men's team, and I think most of that credit has to go to her and the fact that she was the figure during all those successes in the late 90s, early 2000s, and really establishing Team USA as the team to beat in world soccer.
Sure. She's an amazing role in the soccer field and, Olympic gold medalist, all this stuff. So she's a great choice.
I can go.
You go.
Gabby Douglas, I'm a big fan of her. She's a great gymnast. I just think it would be pretty fascinating to have a documentary on her. She's so young too, so that could document, how she got into the Olympics and that kind of thing. And so I would pick Gabby Douglas.
Another awesome shot there. And, there was one just made for gymnastics, but like you said, for individual people, Gabby Douglas, I don't think there's been one made on her yet. So, Jake, what do you think?
All right, I'm sticking with the Olympics, and I'm going with Chloe Kim, the youngest women's snowboarder to ever win a gold medal, and the boss of the half pipe, who is 9 days younger than me. So that's the crazy part about it, that she, I'm here in my apartment recording college Crossfire. She is doing unimaginable tricks on a half pipe. Chloe Kim for me. And that was 2 years ago too. Now, I can't wait to see her back in action in the 2022 Olympics.
Definitely makes you feel like you're just sitting in your room when there's people doing stuff like that. That's how I feel about Luka sometimes too. I'm like, he's like my age. I'm just out there on the Mavs. Anyways, everyone had great choices on that, and cheers to women in sports, honestly. But I'm going to have to go with Mia Hamm on this one. I think that it just makes sense to have a documentary where there's a little bit more history. It's great that we have young people now paving the way too. But in terms of history and what she's done for soccer, Mia Hamm is the winner. And so, Sam, you're getting the points on that one and the win. So congratulations. And that being said, it's time for FaceTime. Sam, take it away.
Yeah, well, I just would like to say thank you to Sam and to Herm. Great, worthy competitors. It's a great way to start off the new semester for me, and I hope to be doing this a whole bunch over the next coming weeks. Can't wait to see you guys next week.
All right, Berm.
Yay! Woo! I know he wanted to go by Berm for the show, so there he is. So congrats, Berm. And thank you guys for tuning in to tonight's episode of College Crossfire. Happy National Women's in Sports Day again. And don't forget to follow us on social media at TSTV Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Lastly, be sure to wake up with the One and O Sports Show Friday mornings at 10 a.m. From all of the panelists in our virtual studio and our virtual master control, I'm Jaxie Pidgeon. Have a wonderful evening.